The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. A leper came to him, kneeling down, begged him and said, "If you wish, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand, touched the leper, and said to him, "I do will it, be made clean." The leprosy left him immediately, and he was made clean. Then warning him sternly, he dismissed him at once. Then he said to him, "See that you tell no one anything, but go show yourself to the priests, and offer for your cleansing what Moses prescribed. That will be proof for them." The man went away and began to publicize the whole matter. He spread the report abroad, so that it was impossible for Jesus to enter a town openly. He remained outside in deserted places, and people kept coming to him from everywhere. The Gospel of the Lord. If there's one thing to remember about our human condition, and this will unlock the mystery of who we are and what we're created for, that you and I are created for worship. The human being is hardwired for God. I know that's not a popular thing today because we think religion is superfluous, it's not necessary, we got other things to worry about. No, from the very beginning, why we're created. We are created to worship God. You look at human history, every single human culture worships something. It's hardwired within us. And when you harken back and you see the scriptures today, it's precisely what is happening here. In the first reading, he's speaking about that time in the desert, as St. Paul writes, how God was provoked by that evil generation. He's speaking about that as they journeyed from Egypt to the Promised Land. You recall back in Exodus why God freed the Jewish people from the grips of slavery of Pharaoh? He freed them precisely to worship God. If you look throughout the entire account of Exodus, that is why Moses approaches Pharaoh and says, "Release my people," so that they can go out to the desert and return them to right worship of God, to have that correct vertical dimension, to restore the human being again. Because what were they back in Egypt? They were slaves. They worshiped money, gold, buildings, you name it, the same typical things we all worship. God freed them to return them to right worship. And this is what our Lord does here with the leper. Because you have to remember, if you were a leper, you were hideous, you were outcasted. Not only were you ugly and you were sick because of the sores, but lepers could not worship God in the temple. Of course, it's a contagious disease, and so they weren't able to return to the temple. This is why this leper, when he approaches Jesus, he asks him to be made clean. Jesus touches the leper. That is utterly huge. No practicing Jew touches a leper. And then he heals him. And notice what Jesus now tells the leper to do. He says, "Go show yourself to the priest and offer for your cleansing what Moses prescribed." In other words, Jesus, after he heals the leper, tells him, go to the temple. Return to right worship. Do you see here? And St. Augustine beautifully encapsulates this in probably one of the most famous verses in Christianity outside of the Bible. You'll find this in his autobiography called The Confessions. It's one of the most beautiful masterpieces of Western literature. You have to read The Confessions. It's part of our Catholic family. Augustine beautifully said, and he speaks to this reality, "You have created us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts remain restless until they rest in you." Do you see what Augustine says here? Until the human being returns to right worship, we will never have peace. And it's only in the worship of the true God can this fickle, fearful, doubtful heart of mine can finally find rest when it returns to worship. And my friends, as Catholics, we have the most beautiful worship in human history at every single Mass.